Hey everyone, welcome to episode 69 of the Paddle Talk podcast. Great to have you along this week. We've got a full show. We've got KOI Drag Racing in the house joining us for a segment. We talk a little East meets West information. Also talk about Texas Mud Drags versus Gravelrama and what's going on there. And we even talk a little Avenal Spring Nationals. So stay tuned. We've got a great show for you. And this episode, just like every episode here on WSDN, brought to you by our friends at Racing in the Dirt. Racing in the Dirt, ready to put their over 50 years worth of experience in dirt, sand, and mud racing to work for you. Out of Cleveland, Wisconsin, the UPS Daily, ready to do anything you need, from bolt-on parts to wheels, tires, roll cages, enclosed chain drives, all the way up to turnkey race cars. Racing in the Dirt is ready to get with your project and help you make it a reality. So give them a call today, area code 920-693-2000, or you can find them on the web at racinginthedirt.com, or even find them on Facebook. So get a hold of them and help them get you moving in the right direction. That's Racing in the Dirt. All right, folks, for our first segment tonight, we have the Cleavers, Scotty and Lewis, joining us tonight from KOI Drag Racing. And this segment, just like every segment, brought to you by our friends at Racing in the Dirt. Racing in the Dirt brings over 50 years worth of dirt, sand, and mud drag experience to the table to help your race program get to places it's never been. So give them a call today. Area code 952-690-2000. They are located in Cleveland, Wisconsin, or you can find them on Facebook, on their Facebook page, or even find them on the web at their website, racinginthedirt.com. They UPS Daily, everything from wheels, tires, you name it, ready to go and ready to help you get your 2025 season off to the ground well. So give them a call, area code 920-693-2000, or email at shop@racinginthedirt.com. And again, they UPS Daily. That's Racing in the Dirt. All right, gentlemen, we've got a great show this week. This is going to be a really good segment. Joining me, as always, Caleb Mings, John Sorg, Damian Bowers, and as mentioned before, Scotty and Lewis Cleaver. Gentlemen, welcome all the way from Florida. You guys aren't even home, are you?
Yeah, we're in Florida right now for a change. We don't get to very much. We haven't been down here for a couple of years, so we figured we'd come down for a while.
Well, as busy as you guys stay.
Yeah, I'd like to maybe get down here in the winter and start doing some racing. I hear that could be a possibility, but you know, we got conventions and stuff in January, so I'd make it tough.
Yeah, no doubt. So give us an overview. What KOI, for those of you that don't know, we're pretty familiar with kind of what happens, but what kind of, when did you guys get started? What do you kind of normally do? What does a normal KOI night look like? Kind of that sort of thing. Kind of walk us through it a little bit.
Yeah, we started in 2012 in Glencoe, Kentucky. We had 3 races the first year, and then it just gradually grew. We started doing, basically we drag race everything, you know, from a kid's quad up to a diesel truck, some hot cars, whatever shows up at night. You know, we're, quote, the fair track racing gurus, you know, so we get a lot of, I've seen everything, tractors, side-by-sides, dirt bikes, 4-wheelers, diesel trucks. What's the craziest thing? Jet-powered on buggy.
I mean, didn't you have a school bus a time or two?
Yeah, we had a school bus. Damon. Yeah, Damon's been there a couple of times. So, yeah, you never know what you're going to get. We've had a trunk train and all kind. One night we had like 15 semis.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything.
If it's got wheels, it's probably been down on track.
Yeah. I challenge somebody to bring something I haven't seen. That's a tough challenge.
But it's a challenge now, right, Lewis?
We actually had a couple of horses one time.
I mean, down in Kentucky, there was an old boy racing a flat bottom boat for years.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Sharp. He's into snowmows now. So I was actually talking to him just last night.
That's crazy. That's absolutely nuts.
But Isaac, we run. You've got a rail that you run with us. We've got from Mild to Wild. We've got the intermediate classes where people come to run, and then we've got the more advanced classes like what you run. It's basically everything. And like Damon's got, we've got hot gas classes and open. So, if you've got it, bring it and run it. It's a $10 entry fee for most classes. The hot gas and open and the diesel trucks are $20, and we always do 100% payback. Few races we'll have a little bit more added money. So we just booked one down Shelton's, April?
May 10th.
May 10th. We're going to go down there and do one with James. And we've been at Little Sandy. We've been all over the place. So I'm looking forward to Shelton's. That's where we can bring some more advanced stuff out and let it run, cars, trucks, whatever. So,
I love it. For those of you that have not been to a KOI race, literally the class list is two sides of a small piece of paper that you get. And I think I counted one night, maybe we're talking like 40 classes, something like that.
26.
Yeah, there's 26 ATVs and there's 13 or 14 full-size vehicles.
When you say get in where you fit in, I don't know that there's not a class for somebody to run.
If you bring a truck, I can almost, unless it's an open truck or an open rail, I can almost guarantee you can run at least two classes.
Yeah.
Some are more than that. So
that's true.
5 or 6. It just depends on what they want to do that night.
Yep. Caleb Mings, I know you have questions.
I do. So I know you guys typically run 200 foot for most of your events here. Like you said, a lot of it's fair tracks and stuff. So there's not quite the shutdown room that, we have at many facilities. So that's part of the reason of the shorter, track surface. But like track prep, I know you guys go many different states. So how do you guys kind of, handle doing the track prep at all these different facilities when you're dealing with different types of dirt, different types of equipment? What's kind of like your magic sauce to get this to kind of all gel together?
I'll let Scotty have this one. He likes to talk about this stuff, so we'll let him go.
The way I best put it is KOI is the no prep of the sand drag world.
There it is right there.
About like pulling out onto a dusty paved road and trying to launch.
Yeah.
There's some, like we'll build them like a pulling track. They'll cut them up, put water in, roll them in. The reason we have to do that is because it's a one-night event and the fair doesn't want you there all night. Just the way it works. It's not the best. I'll admit it's not the best for high horse stuff. Now, for your intermediate, like your guy starting off on his 450, coming out there, just weekend warriors, what I call it, coming out there having a good time, it's perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when you put a volume of, I'll say on any given night, from the time we start doing practice till the end of the night, I've seen the counter hit somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 1,400 vehicles go down the track, which is a lot of vehicles. So basically that's 600 to 700 races in about an hour, in a time span from 5 o'clock in the afternoon to 11 o'clock at night. So that's a lot of vehicles put down the track. We've went as high as about 1,800, 1,900. That's really throwing them through there.
Holy cow.
So that's why you pretty much track prep everything. Like Scotty said, you have to get it good and tight, because if we had to work on it every 15 passes or every 3 passes, we wouldn't get, with the volume we run.
For sure. So it's a one and done prep for the whole night. Is that correct?
When they get the track set at 7 o'clock, they walk away. They sit and watch us do the rest of the show.
Every now and then you'll get a guy, they'll come in there with say if you get a lip on the starting line, come through with a box scraper, fill it in or whatever.
Yeah, or we'll try to cut it out to get it down to another, basically the hard pan. So, and a lot of the trucks and stuff like it, the diesel trucks, they love it. More for advanced vehicles like Damon's got with a paddle tire. It's not always the best situation. A lot of them guys will get a bogger or something, or or all terrain and come run. Damon's come run. He come run Glencoe, run
super swampers on it.
Yeah. Make real good hits. 3 4s. Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Talk about a skating rink out the big end, though.
Yeah,
it gets a little
pretty impressive numbers for a hard packed track. It was.
Yeah, it is. Awesome. And I will say, you guys are a favorite of my wife's because she likes it that she knows exactly when stuff's going to start, and she knows that we're going to be going home at this time because stuff's got to be done by 11 o'clock. So
Yeah.
she appreciates that. Unlike disrespect, but most of your other sand tracks, right? We have a bad habit of seeing a lot of tractor racing, and at least, at the KOI ones, they're actually running heads up, and you'll have one less one that comes back around for the second round. So,
we try to do
Yeah.
elimination until we get numbers of 300 or more entries. We can pretty much run double elimination as long as everybody's doing good. Once we get above that number, we try to limit it down. When you start getting 40 and 30 or 40 in a class, it's kind of hard to do double.
Oh yeah.
Really.
I think that's you brought that up, Isaac. That this is all heads up too, and that is part of the reason why you guys have such a large class list is because you really are breaking this up to try to keep that racing as tight as possible. So you're not getting some guy out there, they got an ATV that's a stock 250. They're not running against a guy with a big 1000 cc player sportsman or something. You're splitting them up so that it's kind of fair for everybody. Same thing on the truck side. Somebody that's got literally rolled it off from the pavement, they're not going to be going up against a guy that's got a whole bunch of work into the motor.
Class that you can literally drive it. A guy had bought one at Defiance County, went home and put a tuner on it, and 3 days later he come out there and beat 25 trucks in the class. So they have index times on them. So like the work stock's a 4.2, 4.3, and then the other one's a 4 or 3.80 on the hot street. So then we got the modified class. It's just open. It's just open basically. Then we have the hot gas and open. I like the open trucks because I can mix the diesel trucks with the fast gas trucks. Makes for a pretty good show.
That it does. Yeah. Johnny, what do you think? Do you need to add an extra piece of cage onto your car so you can run some, that kind of thing?
Well, I'm kind of thinking, Isaac, and maybe you can help me. What kind of tires are you running out there? Because I know you participate in these events all the time. Do you have any of those that we can look at, or are they all on something?
So I'm in the house. So I don't have any in here, but
everybody has tires in their house. Come on, man.
I know. I probably did. To be fair, I probably did till about a week ago, and I literally just moved stuff out to the shop. Like Dylan's bike, he'll run those garden tractor puller tires. My dragster had a set custom built by MKE Motorsports, some terrain tracks. And then on the Ranger, we run a set of boggers, stretch them out on a really wide wheel, try to get as big a contact patch as possible on there and, drop the air pressure out of it and just try to kind of walk it out a little bit and really start pouring it on, in high gear down track,
Right.
I'd say most likely what you're going to want is what you would see on like a 2-wheel drive pulling truck or a 44 by however wide you can get bogger at about 4 PSI.
Right.
Yep.
So I need boggers. I don't think that you probably don't have much for me though in a class though. If I did have boggers, would you?
You'd be an open.
Yeah, he'd be an open class. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We ran Dave Weaver last year down in St. Joseph.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
That's right.
So
that might be the most horsepower I've ever seen go down one of our tracks, I will say.
You guys did have Jim Brumbaugh out there in Northeast Ohio a couple of years ago.
Also fair.
Columbiana?
Or no?
Trumbull.
Trumbull. Yeah.
Had that finally blown dragster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, them guys ended up waiting till the end of the night, and we let them run on a cut surface. But he did make a hit on hard pack, and
when we do our north-south race, we usually do it at Osgood. Now we'll cut it up a little bit and let some people try to run some numbers, something like that on those tracks. And I know, like Paul, he run
247.
Yeah, Steph run a 247.
That's 200.
Wow.
That's a very equivalent to a high 2 at 300.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So it was a very aggressive, thick clay track.
Yeah, guys, how many events are we talking? And this is where I think people will absolutely want to turn your volume up a little bit because I want you to hear this number when Lewis says it. But how many events are you talking for 2025?
Around 120.
120 right now.
Yeah, right now. Yeah, we booked I'm in Florida. Me and my wife always kid each other. Every time we go on vacation, we book races. And I booked one in Eastern Pennsylvania the other day, and I booked another one in Hart County, Kentucky, which we already had one. But they're still coming in. You know, if we've got a date open, we'll do it. But we're right at around 120 right now.
Johnny,
When does your season start and when does it end?
It's already started. We started like 2 weeks ago, and it generally runs up to about the first, second, third week in November. Depends on weather. We
Okay.
had Bardstown, what was last year?
Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah, it was Thanksgiving weekend. We called it Racegiving. So,
Nice.
in fact, we did a standalone event 2 weeks ago, and it was only 60 degrees, and we didn't know what to expect. And we had over 700 people at a standalone race for
Oh,
ATV.
that's great. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
We was expecting 300 or 400. You know, when we get into the fairs and stuff, June, July, and August, you know, it's not our average entries are probably around 300. So, and I think how many we have down there, Heather? It was close to 300, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was around.
It was around 300 at that first
Entries,
race.
Nice.
So,
Very nice.
yeah, the kids class is a little low, but we've got a phenomenal kids class in Kentucky. It takes almost an hour to run them. There's that many.
Well, yeah, you're talking 80 entries.
Yeah, you're talking about 80 inches
Wow.
of ATVs. And these kids,
That's awesome.
Our fastest kid's bike at 200 feet is run a 3.7. Think about that. This kid is 13 and under and running a 3.7. And not on a mod chassis, it's on a stock chassis. So we've had several of them run sub 4 seconds. So
that's moving, man.
That's
That
moving,
is
yeah.
absolutely moving.
Yeah.
So Liz, you've got 120 races, and you know, obviously, with it being that long of a season, you guys are traveling all over the place. I know we kind of mentioned off air, you guys probably travel the most of any series that we're aware of in any dirt, sand, or mud drag racing. So what states, it's probably easier to state which states you guys don't go to rather than the ones you do go to.
Well, we kind of Indiana East. We cover Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee. Pennsylvania's big. We've grown a lot in Pennsylvania. We're growing pretty strong in West Virginia right now. We've got one all the way out in Orange County, Virginia.
You're gonna have to extend your name from KOI.
Yeah. Butters, I don't know what we can come up with now. That'll be interesting. Everybody hears KOI, all they think of is fish, but
Koi.
let's go with that. Yeah. Just trying to figure out how we get the fish to race, but
Sounds like you got enough entries now. You don't need any more fish.
no, we got plenty. Yeah.
So yeah, so you guys run a portatory setup. Seems to work pretty well. And now you guys actually, and I've known this to be true, you guys kind of divide and conquer at times to where you're running 2 races in 2 completely different places on the same night.
Right. We do that a lot in June, July, and August. I think the month of July, we'll hit probably 40 to 45 events in that month, in that 30-day period. This year, we are going to actually stretch out. Scotty and Cody is going to do about 3 or 4 races. I think we got, 3 races now?
3 races up.
We got 3 days this year where we're doing 3 races in one day.
Good
Wow.
gravy.
Well, make sure they're far enough apart where they don't conflict.
Yeah, they're all in separate states.
Yeah, they're in separate states, actually. All 3 of them.
Wow.
I'll be in Orange, Virginia. One will be in Harrison, Indiana, and the other one will be in Boone County, Kentucky on one specific day.
That's crazy.
And that's in June. That's where we get really busy.
What do you guys? Just a round number, but I've always been curious. How many miles do you guys put on in the summer?
I would say between the two, we'll probably run 20,000 on each truck. Roughly.
That's probably conservative, really.
That's conservative. Yeah, that's pretty conservative. We try to stair step. You know, when we go to Pennsylvania, like I'll spend a whole week in Pennsylvania. She'll spend a whole week in Ohio. I'm up around northern Indiana. Let's see. I've got Howard County on Monday and Tuesday night. Let's see. What was that new one? Kosciuszko's on a Thursday.
They're all in the same week.
They're on the same week. Newton County.
Oh, is that LaGrange?
Grange.
Indiana.
Yeah, I'm going to LaGrange.
Yeah, they're all within that whole week. I can primarily stay in the same hotel.
Ah,
So, but I'm not a fan of hotels. But unfortunately, we live in them from late June on. I know the year before COVID, I left Kentucky on July the 10th, and I didn't come back across the river until August the 20th. I was gone for 40 straight days.
Wow,
Yeah, it was a run.
that's a run.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's real. That when I drove to go back home that night after that 40th day, I went from let's see, what was it? The Amish. No, it was Amish. Harlan Days, Indiana. I left there. I drove to Tyler, West Virginia, back to Medina County, Ohio, and home. From the time I left Friday, when I got at Harlan Days on Friday, from the time I landed Sunday night at home, I drove exactly 1,000 miles and done 3 shows in less than 48 hours.
Are you
Wow.
are you going back to the Harlan days this year?
Yep, we're going back there. It's the 1st of August, somewhere around
Something
there.
like that. It's around that first.
Yeah,
week.
that's, man, you're talking about a good track. Isaac, you were usually up there. That one's good.
I want to go to that just because it's close to my hometown.
A hard pack track, but it has a lot of hook in it. I mean, we've run our fastest diesel pass, some of our fastest diesel passes up there.
Super swampers.
Huh.
Yeah, super swampers, they'll hook good on that. You'll fly on that. Got plenty of shutdown too.
no, I like shutdown. Shutdown's good.
It's a bonus.
Yeah,
That's
200 foot is, I like to see 350, something like that.
400.
Yeah, 400. Most places, if we run 200, a lot of the fair tracks in Ohio and Indiana, we've got 400 or 500 feet of shutdown, so it makes it nice. I like to see the ones where you don't have to use the brakes, but you can. We've got one coming up in Woodburn. The Woodburn boys, they've added some big money in the classes.
I'd have to look
And,
see what that was. How
It's
much they added.
the Outlaw has like 1,000 or so, and he may add more. That one there is a real good track, and it has probably 600 or 700 feet of shutdown. But we stick with the 200 feet. I like to stick with 200 feet because we've got intermediate drivers. We're getting people in here that a lot of them have never raced before. They brung it straight off the street, and if you put that 300 foot in there, some of these diesel trucks, some of these gas trucks, and these quads get some pretty good speeds at 300 feet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nothing
especially
like
on that hard pack.
Yeah. I mean, we've got diesel trucks now that, when Levon and them Miller started Fire Punk, they started racing with us. I think that's how they actually got really they got into the dirt and then they went to the asphalt. But I remember Levon and them running. We run 300 feet at Union. It's one of the few races we did it. Levon and Cy Noble had a side-by-side race, and both of them broke the traps at 85 miles an hour.
And a
in
street
pickup
driven
trucks.
diesel.
In a street-driven diesel pickup. 85, both of them. And there's a YouTube video up now. Levon's tie rod bent when he did it.
Right at the
Right at the 300. I'm like, oh, here we go. But he kept it straight. So it was pretty cool. It was a pretty neat thing.
Man, I love it. Gentlemen, any more questions for these guys since we got them on here?
Yeah, I got one. So Lewis, I love what you guys do, and all the different events you guys go to. I mean, seriously, you guys put down more racers down the track, getting them introduced to the sport beyond every other organization probably combined. The one question I have is that I'm a big proponent of a lot of safety stuff, and you're talking about wanting to have some shutdown there. One thing that I see with a lot of the racers that come through your guys' tracks is there's a lot of guys out there, short sleeve pants, short sleeve shirts and stuff. I know you're racing through the summer, it's hot out there, but do you think we could see at some point in the future KOI having some basic safety rules? I know you guys have to wear a helmet, right? That's always something that you guys are a proponent of, but
and
clothing wise,
we don't like of course, no flip flops or anything like that. They try. Yeah. So we've got we've got a lot of people to watch. So yeah, I get what you're saying.
What's the craziest thing you've ever had roll up in staging as far as, hey, can I race like this? And you're like, really? Did you really just come up here like that?
Dean, was that jet modified?
Well, he didn't race the class, but I don't know if you've ever heard of Don Dean, an OSTPA modified pulling tractor.
With two.
It's got three Chinook helicopter motors on it.
Oh my gosh.
He lit off at Hartford, Ohio during a demonstration. And picture this, it was a 50 or an 8,500 pound tractor.
Yeah.
It run 4 seconds and he only had 2 motors running. I said, Don,
holy cow.
yeah, so it's got good brakes on it.
It's
This guy's
hard
like,
to get the wheel speed up on something like that.
oh, when he left, it was pretty impressive.
Gee.
It was very impressive.
Oh,
But yeah, I would like the safety stuff. You know, it's hard for us to police as far as, you know, I'd like to see long pants, you know, stuff like that.
It's like Cody won't run with shorts on anymore.
Yeah, Cody, he runs a Banshee and he runs with long pants on if he's running with it. But, you know, anything that runs faster than a 4.0 mandatory kill switch, that's something we require. So I'm always looking at other things. You know, we used to run studs all the time. I got rid of them.
Yeah.
So I saw some serious accidents where if the studs had been on there, it had been extremely bad.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
a lot of guys give me heck about that, but I'm like, guys, is it really worth 0.2 of a second?
No, you're
Yeah.
right. And I get what you guys are doing because you're, you know, really grassroots with this. Sometimes you're going to have tons of people at every event. I'm sure that's their first time racing anything, like you said. And, you know, you can't make things too strict on, you know, both the vehicle and the personal safety to where, hey, like, you know, you're not going to say if you're on an ATV, you got to have a full set of leathers. You're like, dude, I just came from, you know, my ranch and stuff. Like I just brought my 4-wheel over here. I got a helmet. That's all I have.
Right.
So you can't go too extreme, but I'm just looking out, you know, I like to see things try to progress a little bit. And hey, you know, I mean, maybe if you want to institute pants, get some KOI branded pants and set up a little merch trailer and
We don't even have enough time to sell t-shirts. So we're stretched pretty thin. A lot of these races, when we do them, we've got a crew of just 3 people.
Wow.
So we run this race with 300 or 400 entries with 3 or 4 people.
That's insane.
I love the porta tree stuff. It basically runs itself. I don't even have to sit at the table during practice. If there's 2 people in each lane, it runs and resets all by itself.
Damn.
So,
We use what's called the test track system.
yeah, we use a test track system.
All this is heads up.
We've got like 6 sets of this. I've got trees in the barn that's in the shop that, you know, every trailer's always got enough parts. I know Isaac's seen a lot of stuff of ours gets hit.
Mm.
And
yeah, unfortunately, yes.
yeah, in-track boxes get clobbered. I built 100 outside in-track boxes this winter.
Just old
Wow.
Oh, yes, collectors. So they do get trashed. Damon, I don't know. You wasn't at, where was it? Columbiana County.
You know, I've only ever been to your races at Richmond. I went to one at Osgood and then the one at Glencoe.
Yeah. Somebody at Columbiana hit one, and I think the box ended like, I don't know, way up in the stands.
That's
So yeah. So yeah, we was kind of concerned about that, but nobody was harmed. So
they're meant to.
Maybe it's time to see about reflectors with them foam blocks that you can glue on the track.
yeah. I designed the boxes myself. I build them myself. The family do, and they're designed to come apart. We don't want to build a box that's going to be strong enough to flip a 4-wheel or something like that. If they hit it, generally it just explodes. It just flattens out.
Right.
Is what it is. Unless you catch one crooked, you know, it might throw it a little bit.
Johnny, what you got?
Where can I look and find your schedule at for all of those people out there? I'm curious myself.
You go to the website, koidragracing.com, and then if you punch up KOI, hit the spacebar drag, spacebar racing on Facebook, that's where you'll see it at. Our schedule's also pinned there.
Absolutely.
And
all right.
we have an event for every place we go. If you go to the events tab, they're all in chronological order. You go to the address, click it, and it'll tell you right where to get to and how long it's going to take you to get there. I use it myself.
I
I
know. Where am I going next?
That second, third week, I don't even worry about it yet. Too much.
Oh man, I love it, guys. Thanks so much for coming on. We'll give you the last word. Anybody you want to thank? Anything like that before we get going here?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you guys for having us on here. We look forward to this for a long time. And then the racers, We couldn't do it without those guys. A big thanks to those. Those guys are super loyal to us. They run everywhere with us. We couldn't have built this without them. And also all the fairs and the associations that have us. I want to thank all those guys because without them, without racers, you can't do it, period.
Oh, no.
Amen.
That's what it's all about, the racers. And that's what we've always said. It's about the racers.
There you go. I couldn't have said it better myself. So, all right, Caleb Mings, do you have an ad read for us to take us on out to the next segment?
Yeah, I want to remind you guys, go check us out at worldsandragnews.com and click on our photo tab, or you can go and visit us on Instagram at World Sand Drag News, and you can check our link in bio. It's going to have our most recent gallery in there. That's going to be a great place where you can go on there and purchase photos, from digital downloads to prints. All of those proceeds go back to World Sand Drag News and help us get out to all these different events to bring you guys more coverage. So go and check out our photo galleries and get yourself some photos. Great way to support the sport.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to our next segment here on the Paddle Talk podcast, brought to you by our friends at Racing in the Dirt out of Cleveland, Wisconsin. Racing in the Dirt, ready to take your race program to new heights and places it has never been before in 2025. So give them a call today. Area code 920-693-2000, or you can find them on their Facebook page at Racing in the Dirt, or you can find them on their website, racinginthedirt.com. From bolt-ons, wheels, tires, transfer cases, rear ends, full chassis builds, turnkey cars, you name it, Racing in the Dirt, ready to help you and your race program. So give them a call, check them out on Facebook, or check them out on their website. And they UPS daily. That's Racing in the Dirt. All right, gents. So unfortunately, our next segment's going to talk about maybe some unfortunate news, and that is the cancellation of a Texas Mud Drags race. Damian Bowers, bring us up to speed a little bit.
Yeah, over the last couple weeks, I heard some rumors, but again, all of it was rumors until this week. They officially announced that the Gravelrama date for the Texas Mud Drags race had been canceled. All I've heard is that it was a choice at the tracks level. I don't know what the reasoning for that is yet. I'm trying to get that information. I want to squash some rumors that I had heard. I had heard people saying that, oh, Outlaw Series was pushing because more money was going to this race or that. No, Outlaw Series had nothing to do with pushing for this to be canceled. They were all wanting to go race at this race as well. Even if some of them don't have cars that quite fit the rules, they wanted to run something. It's different. It's a fun type of race. So, again, as we figure that out, we'll go along. What you got, John?
Oh, just one step further. Never mind. Go ahead.
I've said all I needed to say on this. So,
well, with the current state of the water down there at this rate, there may be swamp buggy races before we see any actual racing on the track down there at Cleves. If anybody out there hasn't seen the footage as of today, there was looking like there was a lot of water in the ghetto. Just throwing that out there. So,
if you can get your if you can get your trailer into the upper campground, you're fine. The track itself is in decent shape. It's the ghetto where it looks like they're going to be having some sippy hole type action.
With that, can we start calling it late ghetto or ghetto swamp or something
late
like that?
Ghetto, I like that.
As much time as Kerr spends at Lake Cumberland anymore, we might as well. Maybe we'll get him to come to the track more often.
You know, he can bring his pontoon up there and cruise the ghetto instead for a little bit. So
you could totally do that. I could see Kerr definitely doing that.
Oh, absolutely. Totally. 5.5 horse on about a 26-foot pontoon. Yep, that's got him written all over it, you know. And that way he could float the ice chest behind the boat. And he doesn't have to worry about it taking up room on the boat. See, we're thinking about you, buddy.
We got your back.
That's right. So what this means, though, is that the Texas Mud Drag season opener, it will now be at Silverback Off-Road Speedway in June. John, do you plan on being there?
I plan on being there. I want to check this stuff out, man. I'm excited to see it. I can't wait to see it. And Yeah, I'm looking forward to it and see what they got if we can participate in it too. So yeah.
I heard there's going to be an open bracket class. Now it's only
Well,
200
then,
foot, remember? So
well, that opens my mind.
Takes
Oh,
away a
yeah.
lot of that dragster's advantage on the back door.
Right?
hey, man, cut a light and make them drive around you.
That's
it's only
right.
200 foot.
That's right.
Caleb Mings, would you ever entertain the idea of bracket racing at 200 foot?
Absolutely. I'll bracket race at 20 feet. Like, come on.
Well, hell,
No,
right?
I honestly, I wish there was more stuff like that out on the West Coast. There was really not a lot of facilities to do anything shorter than 300 foot. And shoot, I would probably entertain going a little bit longer, at least on my bike. I could probably handle some 500 foot racing, I think. I might second guess myself on that when I start realizing that I'm exiting at like 110, but
Yeah, at about 350, 400 feet, he's like, well, maybe this ain't so cool.
We do the 100-foot hill drags. We bracket race on that at Last Blast. The guy I've been doing monster truck shows with for years with Full Throttle Promotions, if he could get the insurance figured out and the venue figured out to do it, we pitched the idea around of possibly trying to get the Fort Wayne War Memorial Coliseum and doing 80-foot, 100-foot sand drags indoors.
Oh, yeah.
If we could ever get the insurance figured out on that. That's the tricky part.
I've heard worse ideas. I will say, I feel like indoor sand drags pretty much died that day in Anaheim, California, but I digress. We'll keep it at that. So, all right. So this is a developing story. If we get more information on it, we will update you. But as of right now, Texas Mud Drags and Gravelrama, not copacetic, and that race is not happening. So, Caleb Mings, take us out, please.
All right. I want to give you guys an ad read for a very special event coming up May 29th through the 31st. It is the WSDN/Speeders event in Stamford, Kentucky, Shelton's Dirt Drags. It is going to be a big one, guys. $15 a day at the gate for anybody to get in, and they have classes for everyone from kids, tons of the Speeders Index classes, as well as their 4x4 ATV, their Pro Mod and Outlaw side-by-side classes. They are doing tons of stuff for all the full-size and ATV guys as well. Pro Comp bracket classes, and a very special Top Eliminator 295 challenge that is going to be taking place as a race within the race during the qualifying rounds. So don't miss it, folks. Once again, Stamford, Kentucky, May 29th through the 31st. Be there or be square.
All right. Welcome to our next segment in the Paddle Talk podcast, brought to you as always by our friends at Racing in the Dirt from Cleveland, Wisconsin. Ready to help you and your race team get off to a great start for 2025. Wheels, tires, chain drives, turnkey cars, which you may be getting a little close on time for that, bolt-on stuff, but you name it, guys are ready to and willing to help you get your race season going to the best of its ability. They have over 50 years experience in mud, dirt, and sand drags, so call them today, or you can find them on Facebook or on their website at racinginthedirt.com. If you want to give them a shout, that's area code 920-693-2000, or you can even find them on Facebook. And they UPS daily, Racing in the Dirt. All right, so in this segment, we're going to talk about the Avenal race coming up towards the end of this month. It'd be in April, and they've even got some added money for Top Eliminator. So Caleb Mings, our resident West Coast correspondent, why don't you walk us through it a little bit, what you know, and let's see what we can find out.
Yeah. So they're doing something pretty cool with Top Eliminator this time around. They are doing a guaranteed payout at an 8-car field. So where this is going to work out is that if there's 8 Top Eliminator entries, it's going to be a guaranteed $1,500 payout. So basically 100% payback there, which is relatively unheard of on the West Coast. We're at the 50 to 60% payback at most events. So basically almost guaranteed 100% payback there at the 8-car field. If there's less than 8 entries, they are going to prorate it down. I don't know what that number, penalty is going to be, but if there's more than 8 cars, they're actually going to add to that payout. So they're not going to keep it at that $1,500. They're going to keep adding on top of it. My guess is that it'll be a percentage of each car's payback. Again, don't know a hard confirmation on that, but it's going to be some good news for the people that are going to be going to the Avenal Sand Drags Spring Nationals here, April 25th through the 27th.
Excellent. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now, typical. Now we should say top eliminator. That'd be the 295 class for those of you at home, maybe not quite sure what class that is. $200, pretty standard entry fee for top eliminator out west.
You know, I'm trying to remember back and see if I could remember if that's the typical entry fee that they do at Avenal or if it was $150. It may have gone up to $200, so I'm not 100% sure on that. Obviously, I'm not a racer within that class, so I don't always pay attention to their entry fee. But nothing out of the question, I think, as far as what's typical.
We're going to make a plea here a second. Anybody that does race that class, if you want to comment in the comment section below and maybe let us know, hey, one, is this typical for top eliminator entry fee? And two, where would you pay to run top eliminator? Damian Bowers, what would you pay to run top eliminator for a weekend?
That all depends on where I'm at. Again, like Caleb, I've never really thought much on the entry fee of that class because generally the people running in that class have so much money into their cars at that level. $100, $200 doesn't really seem like comparable much when you're running a barrel of racing fuel in a weekend.
Fair enough. John Sword.
I don't know. I'm not sure what to think.
Let me put another maybe spin on this, and I'll put it to you three guys and let you answer one by one. Would you rather pay $20 entry and maybe you're taking home 100 on a class win, or would you rather pay, say, 200 and possibly take home 1,000?
I could probably answer that for them. They're going to spend $200. I guarantee you that. Ain't nobody spending that kind of money to walk out of there with no $100 bill. I can tell you that too.
Well, if you're only,
we've all done
spending
it a time
the
or
$20
two.
entry fee.
I'm me personally, throw me in the money. You guys are talking about the entry fees. I know Outlaw's $150 out here. Typically up at Silverback, we charge about the same. I was looking through Dome's list, and I believe they're at $250 on top alcohol. 200 top eliminator, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it seems they're falling in line.
Yeah, I think personally for level of racing, I don't think that's too much to ask for. I get where you're coming from, Isaac. Wanting to keep entry fees low, but I think that more affects a lot more the bracket racers, and there is a sweet spot there, right, where you need to make it affordable enough. But when you're talking entry fees on the class, even for a normal bracket vehicle, you probably have a lot more of your expenses getting to the event and your fuel, your maintenance and stuff than your entry fees typically.
Right. Oh yeah. Around here, the general entry fee for a bracket class is in the $30 to $50 range. Occasionally, we'll have a bigger payout race where the entry fee is north of 100. But that's like going from, okay, hey, we're going to go bracket race at KOI. Their entry fees are lower because beginner, entry level, getting people interested in the sport, compared to going to Brookville, Cleves, Michigan for one of their big payout races where the entry fee will be higher.
Correct. I think you have very different expectations between those two. I mean, let's face it, KOI, you're a $10 entry fee, but you're going to get minimum of 2 hits at the track because it's double elimination, and you probably don't have a whole lot invested, to get in there. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're typically not running a top eliminator dragster at a KOI event either.
Also,
Right.
no.
They've had a few, and
Awesome. No, that sounds really good for the top Eliminator class out there, and be interested to see what their counter count is. I know a friend of the show, Eric Hickey, was maybe hinting around a little bit that he was thinking about going. I'll just say that if he's really got some gumption to him, I want to see him head over there and see what he can do. But I guess we'll see what happens, which way the breeze is blowing on that weekend. So, Damien Bowers.
isn't that the same weekend still as the Racing Dome?
Okay,
It
we
is,
made
so-
it this far through the segment without bringing that up. But yes, since you asked, it is.
So maybe this
just
is
one of those
Avenal's attempt
things
to go ahead, Damien.
Money versus points.
Yeah, that's going to be the question. Obviously, and Dome has had pretty good payouts as far as their classes go. But yeah, this is going to be interesting seeing the little added payout for top eliminator, seeing that's going to sway people away from running in the point series. And I think a lot of it still is going to be determined on where people are from, which track is closer.
Yeah,
I think so too. I would agree with that. Anybody kind of in that margin area is going to be the kind of question mark, and those might be the people that start. Okay, where am I at points wise versus money wise? Where am I at? Going one place or the other. So I get it. So should be an interesting weekend though. A lot of racing on the West Coast. This has not happened very often. So kind of interesting that it kind of took place, and be interested to see what happens. So
yeah.
All right, very good. Caleb Mings, what do you got to wrap us up?
Have you guys got? I want you to go and take a look at your trophy case. Now, it's probably looking pretty bland, and that's because you don't have any of your World Sand Drag News photos hanging up next to those plaques and trophies. So go over to worldsandragnews.com, click on our photo tab, or visit us on Instagram and click our link in the bio. That's going to take you to our photo galleries where you can get yourself some nice high quality prints to hang up in your trophy case, where you're going to have all sorts of trophies added there because you bought our photos. That's a World Sand Drag News guarantee. So go over there, buy some photos. It supports what we do and helps us get out to more tracks and get more photos for you.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Paddle Talk podcast here on WSDN. Appreciate you having along. And we've got some East meets West very early news as we reported as it trickles in. So, and it has to do with a date change. Before we get to that, just a reminder, this segment, just like every segment, brought to you by our friends at Racing in the Dirt from Cleveland, Wisconsin. Racing in the Dirt, your number one source for everything mud, sand, and dirt drag related, from wheels and tires to full chassis, turnkey cars, you name it. Scott, Shane, and the crew ready to help you out and get your ride to where it needs to be. So give them a call today, area code 920-693-2000, or you can find them on Facebook, or you can look them up at racinginthedirt.com. And they UPS daily. That's Racing in the Dirt. All right, John Sorg. We saw an announcement this week from Dome Valley Raceway saying there's going to be a date change for the East meets West race. So what are we doing?
Well, yeah, you got it right. The race was originally scheduled for March 6th, 7th, and 8th of 2026, and we had to move it back 1 week, and we added 1 day. So it's now the 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th of 2026. So, like I said, we added a day. Unfortunately, we had to move. Just explain that a little bit so people understand what Esteban's facing out there is of events that take away from, outside events from his track, that if he put on an event would pull racers out of the event itself. And basically what it boils down to is that you want to go and be East beats West. You don't want to be East goes to the West. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in order to make sure we have all the caliper racers there and everything, he had to do what he could do in order to make that happen. And that's what he felt was in the best interest of the event. And I agree with him. We face that out here. We have to run around. We talk about it all the time, picking and choosing. And unfortunately, that's where it landed. But it is good because it's a year out, and we're hoping that people can plan around. I know Atoka typically runs that weekend. I've talked with Derek a little bit, and I'm hoping he'll talk to the higher powers and see if they can manipulate his schedule a little bit, possibly, and get their guys with us too. We really
Sure.
want to see them all. It's about getting everybody out there. Nobody's trying to step on anybody, and that's what this is about, is trying to bring everybody together, and that's what we come up with. It's not perfect, that's for sure.
Totally.
But
Caleb Mings, I think it's probably harder for us guys back here, back east, so to speak, to really get our head around. But how big is the March meet? Because I know that's one of the dates we're trying to avoid with the East meets West race.
Oh,
yeah,
for
the March
sure.
meet
And
is a pretty big deal out there.
Yeah, it is the Super Bowl of nostalgia drag racing. And if you're a Nitro head, that is an event that most people don't miss, even if you're just spectating. And, I can't overstate the impact that has on the racers. There's tons of racers that are participants in the March meet, whether they've got a fuel car, a nostalgia eliminator, or they're just somebody that goes out there, they take the motorhome out there, they spectate for the week. It's thing that we have a lot of people crew chief on different people's cars. So it's one of those things where, I agree with Esteban with this, is that, when you're setting dates for something, obviously this is a big, cross country type thing. You want to try to keep the dates away from as many things as possible, but ultimately it has to make sense for at home. And as much as we want, bunch of East Coast people to come out, it has to be a successful event if not one person from the East Coast decides to show. And with the dates that they had for it during the March meet, that's a big one. That was going to draw a lot of the West Coast racers away, and that's something that they couldn't really afford to do. I know the other big conflict is that is one of the biggest car shows that Arizona holds, same weekend. And so same kind of similar idea with that. There's people that go to that car show. There's different vendors and stuff that come to the track that would be at that car show. So it's just a matter of getting equipment out there and, all the racers and stuff, making it make sense. So it is what it is.
Damian Bowers, I can see you're chomping at the bit.
Well, with the mention of teams that have involvement with March meet and such, I believe isn't Bobby Cottrell and the Morris family both have nostalgia funny cars that they operate.
Yeah,
right.
That is true.
And not to mention,
and then we've got people like Craig Durning, Jim Hammond. There's I think some of the Adamsons typically go out there. There's a bunch of people that go out and help with other teams as well. And that's a big thing with it too. Is even if you're not an actual racer or have a vehicle out there, there's a lot of people that go out and help.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing how, especially, Caleb brings up Nitro. It's amazing how even I would say all the way up to your NHRA Top Fuel and, Nitro funny cars, how deep some of those guys on those teams have their fingers that extend down even into our sport a little bit, whether it be tuning advice or help, or whatever. And it seems like a really good and a really shrewd idea to, hey, what? Let's move it a week and try to get away from that and just make it easier for people to come there. I mean, we get it. So
heck, up into the late 90s and early 2000s, a lot of the biggest names involved with Top Fuel and Funny Car came out of the sand. Look at Alan Johnson and the like. Gary Selzy was a big sand guy.
Larry Miner.
Yep.
Yes. It's amazing the amount of influence the sand out there had on the sport of Top Fuel going through the years.
I mean, look at Butch Blair.
Yeah.
Another great example.
For sure. So, all right, Johnny, anything else about the race that has changed since the last time we talked about it, or steady?
No, I think everything's going pretty good. I did a little bit of research. We talked a little about hotels and stuff. I also noticed on the internet they have a lot of RV rental places around there that rent out RVs. So anybody's that's looking around, I believe you can get an RV and rent it and set up on the track if you want to stay at the track and not go to a hotel.
Absolutely. And I was told by some of the ATV guys last weekend that Airbnbs are pretty plentiful just over the mountain into Yuma, and you could stay less than a half hour from the track, and it was very, very reasonable. So, especially if you're willing to, bring your crew, so to speak, and split it up that way. So, definitely some
Great.
options for people there as well.
Absolutely. So no, I think everything's on track and going good. So just want to give you all a quick update. And well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm itching for it. I'm ready for it already.
No, sounds good. I think we're all looking forward to it, and should be a great time next summer. Well, next spring, I should say. Next March. Anyway, all right. So, Caleb Miggs, if you want to take us out, that's going to wrap up our coverage of some changes with the East Meets West race.
Yep. So looking forward to that. And we're also looking forward to the Bluegrass Shootout coming May 29th, 30th, and 31st to Stanford, Kentucky. That's Shelton's Dirt Drags. This event is going to be presented by World Sand Drag News and Southern Power Sports Drag Racing Series. They're going to have all sorts of action for every vehicle type out there, whether you've got an ATV, a side-by-side, or a full-size vehicle. They've got bracket classes with 50-50 sportsmen, cars, and ATVs, quick 16 cars and ATVs, a pro ATV and pro comp class, plenty of indexes for all you guys that want to run some pseudo heads up stuff. Those are going to be available for all the full size and side by sides, as well as the Top Eliminator 295 challenge taking place during the qualifying rounds. It is going to be something that is not going to be something you want to miss. All the speeders classes being mixed in here as well. Cannot wait to see some of these bad boys with these 4x4 ATVs and side-by-sides run on that magic dirt in Kentucky. So once again, check that out. May 29th, 30th, and 31st coming up to you guys at Shelton's Dirt Drags.